Hello, I'm Paul Fontenot. My wife Jeanette and I have been going to Crossroads for over 25 years now. I've been involved, quite active in the church as part of the men's ministry. Started worked with the men's ministry about 10 years ago, did a lot of work with that. Have spearheaded some activities we have, the men's extreme games, which we have a really good time with, and also the men's chili cook-off that we do. We just have a good time, and also we have the men's breakfast and different work we do there. But enough of that. I just want to talk about how I've been letting go of my finances, how we've done this over our marriage. I just want to read a verse that's important to me. It's Philippians 4:13, and it says, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." And that's given me a lot of courage to be able to do things and not to be afraid of things. And so we bought a house in 1987, a townhouse in Perry Hall. And shortly afterwards, in 1990, we had our first son. And at the time, Jeanette and I were both working. And then we had our second child in 1994. At that time, she was still working, and then she started a daycare business within the home. And then in 1996, I got a job where I got a tremendous raise. And I came home from work that day after I had the offer. I said to her, "You don't have to work anymore. I'm going to provide for us, or God's going to provide for us." So during that time, we were pretty much living paycheck to paycheck. And about 10 years ago, there's a couple that came to our church for a while, Scott and Maria Hewitt, and they introduced a seminar called Financial Peace University by Dave Ramsey. And the goal of Financial Peace University is to be debt-free. And so some of the steps we took was we set up an emergency fund that we didn't have before. And then we implemented what's called a debt snowball. And the debt snowball is basically taking what's your highest interest stuff and trying to get that knocked out first. And then we paid off our credit cards. And as far as purchasing vehicles, we no longer bought new vehicles, we bought used vehicles because we wanted to pay with cash if we could. A few years ago, my parents passed, and we got some money from my parents' estate. And that allowed us to pay off our mortgage completely. And also, as part of that, we did tithe the money from the inheritance to the church. We just felt we just had to be faithful stewards of that money. During my career, I've been laid off 3 times through no fault of my own, just circumstances that happened. And through all that, I knew that God was faithful. He would take care of everything. So, my last time I got laid off was about 2.5 years ago. And I was probably what I thought about 3 or 4 years away from retiring. I found a contractor position for a while there. I thought I was going to be there for 3 years, and it only lasted 9 months. And so I kind of squandered around with what I was going to do. And then I talked to my financial advisor, and we looked at our finances, and he said, "You know what, if you want to retire right now, go for it." So in December 2024, I decided to retire. And I just need to be responsible with my money and live within our own means. So having now been married for 40 years, living off one income, it showed us how to live with less than others. We didn't have brand new cars. We didn't have the newest electronics or the best toys a kid could have, but we were happy. We saw families with 2 incomes and thought they had so much. In truth, they may have had more, but they also had more debt. And they were not saving their money, and they're not retired, and we are. Our house that we bought in '87, we sold that in 1999. We bought a house in Bel Air, and we bought this house in the central part of our neighborhood because we want to be part of the neighborhood. We want to be the central part. And so our church has been open for community groups for years. We lead community groups, and we just want our house to be a welcome place where we can just entertain people and do everything with that. The thing that you need to understand also in Matthew 6:24, it says you cannot serve 2 masters. You can't love both God and money. You have to love God, and that's the most important thing. And just to close with this, one of the most misinterpreted or phrases out of the Bible, people say money is the root of all evil. And the truth is, 1 Timothy 6:10 says, the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. And I just want to pass along the blessing to everybody that to be financially strong, you have to be trusting God.